Hi and welcome. It's Dawn Grossart here, business success mentor and coach to women entrepreneurs, ambitious business women who want to create something different, extraordinary in their life that creates time freedom, financial freedom, and a real sense of fulfillment. And I'm delighted today to have a guest in a little interview that we've created to share with you something that's of interest to many women these days who are wanting to grow a business, who are wanting to build a personal brand, and who are wanting to carve out, let's say, reputation and also build a message for themselves. I'm going to bring into the conversation Karen Williams, who is the owner and creator of a business called Librotas. Karen is a multiple award-winning best-selling author herself in her own right. She's written some very interesting books, which we're going to talk about. But more than anything today, she's here to talk about the work that she does more so these days, which is helping other people to create their own book as a platform for either growing, creating, or building their business growth to the next level. So Karen, come and join us and say hi, and we've got some juicy questions.
Thank you, Dawn, and thanks for the introduction. It was fabulous.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So when you and I have kind of chatted about, what kind of things do people struggle with when they are starting to kind of write a book. But let's kind of take a step back before that and even ask, like, why is a book a good idea for someone who wants to start a business or grow a business?
Certainly writing a book is great for people who want to grow a business, because if you think about it, there's probably, so let's take you for example, Dawn, you're a businesswoman, you help a lot of entrepreneurs in business, and also, people in corporate as well. And actually a book is a real great credibility builder, because there are other people doing something similar to you. And I work a lot with coaches, consultants, trainers, accountants, therapists, who actually know that to make a difference and to be different, a book is a really great tool to have. So that tends to be why people start out. They want the credibility builder. They want to reach more people. They want to make a bigger difference. Some want to leave a legacy. It really depends on the motivation for every individual person. But what I find more than anything, Dawn, is that people they're doing a business, they want to reach more people, and they know that they can't do it through one-to-one services, group services. They know that a book is the thing that can get to get their message across the world, and that's why they do it. They've probably got a story to share, or wisdom, expertise, and they know it's a great vehicle to do so.
Yes, and of course it's a very convenient way, portable way to actually do that. And of course building relationship with people who perhaps have never met you, or have maybe seen you a little bit but don't really know much about you. They can kind of get to know you a bit more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I suggest people do, whatever book they're writing, even if they're writing a 10-step guide, it's about people want to get to know who you are. They want to build a relationship with you. They want you to be vulnerable, to share your story. And I had this conversation I was having it with a new client last week, actually. And it's hard to be that vulnerable person, but people want to get to know you warts and all, don't they? Because especially if you've been there, done that, and you've experienced what people are going through themselves, they want to know what it's like, and they want you to, reveal all in terms of the book.
Yeah, and I suppose in that sense, it's building trust as well. It's credibility, but also trust and likability. So, let's go in a little bit more the actual. Like, how do you help someone who's thinking, yeah, okay, it sounds great. I really get the whole mechanics of why a book's a good idea. But where do I start? How do I begin to craft my subject or my message?
Yeah. I think one of the reasons I normally work with established businesses is they normally have some sort of message already, and writing a book doesn't need to be complicated. So if your business is on this track, you don't need to write about this. Writing about what you're already talking about on a day-to-day basis is what I suggest people writing about. But often it's thinking about who is your ideal reader, what is the problem they're facing more than anything else, and how can you help them to overcome it. And then actually focusing on that one topic would be a good starting point. And I find for people who've got multiple topics they could start writing about, maybe there's more than one book in there. So it really depends on the individual. So if you've got something when you work with clients and you're talking about helping them to create financial freedom, is there a process that you teach? Is there a step-by-step maybe steps that come up again and again, or a step-by-step process, or is it just intuitive? And then it's just writing about it. And when you have a topic, then you can think, okay, so I've got this topic, you can break it down into chapters, and then you can think, okay, what case studies or stories have I got to illustrate those? And then that really brings it alive. So it's just finding a topic and just starting. It doesn't have to be the right perfect topic. It's just finding and honing that topic.
So kind of jumping in, I guess, with something that you have some enthusiasm and passion for as well.
Yeah. If you're writing a book and it's going to take you, say, 6-9 months, maybe a year to do, it's got to be something, A, you have a passion about, and B, you want to talk about it after you've launched the book as well. So you might create a keynote from the book, you might create other products from the book, you might create an online program from the book. So when I work with clients, it's not just about helping them with the book itself and the content and also developing it, it's also about how it builds their business. So that's very much my focus, is helping them to create the programs off the back of it, or at least know where it all fits into their business. Yes. So yeah, it has to be a topic you're passionate about and something you want to deliver, and it doesn't have to be too narrow, but I would say niche it. Definitely.
Yeah, lots to think about. Let's just kind of explore a little bit about the kind of people you work with are mostly entrepreneurs.
Shall I give you a couple of examples? I don't know if that would help.
What kind of businesses are good for a book? Tell us a little bit about some of the kind of businesses that you have helped to grow with a book.
They tend to be, I think I said earlier, sort of coaches, consultants. They're people who have a service predominantly. They might have products in terms of a service that they've turned into a product, but they're not likely to be selling a widget. But they could be. And they're more likely to be selling their speaker services. So I'm working with a guy at the moment who's writing his autobiography. So he is a speaker, he's a keynote speaker. He would like something that can help him to get more speaking engagements, that can inspire the people who are already attending his speaking engagements. And also, to potentially lead to other sort of one-to-one group workshops and things like that with him. So that's one example. I've worked with a couple of accountants. One I worked with last year, a lady called Louise Harrington, and she basically has written the how-to guide to doing your tax return. But she's very niche. She works with performers and artists. So when an artist goes to the hairdresser and says, can I claim my hair appointment, my £30-40 or whatever they've spent on it, the book answers those questions. So it's a real niche book, but equally it answers a lot of questions that sole traders have. Certainly I did when I was a sole trader, about how you do your tax return, because if you're not financially that way inclined, it can be a hard thing to do.
Yes.
I've worked with Kate Barrett, who's done an email marketing book. Emma Hepterstall, who's done a book about divorce. So many I can give you examples of. So they're kind of, cancer, how to cope with the emotional effects, presenting, speaking up, so many different topics, but they're all really the topics that people have chosen, the topics they work with on a day-to-day basis. It's what they want to get known for, which is a question that I like to ask people. So whether you've got a story to tell or a step-by-step process, it's a great way of getting your message out of your head and down on paper.
Yes. And do you think that there is a book in everyone?
Maybe not everybody, and I think it's just finding your way that you want to stand out. I work a lot with introverts, because I am an introvert myself, but actually, extroverts will write a book as well. But the introverts like the idea of writing a book because it enables you to get it down on paper, but actually you have to then get it out and actually sell it, promote it, and get out of your comfort zone to do that type of thing. So is there I think you need to be able to write, but I've worked with people who English is not their first language, who are severely dyslexic. And actually, as long as you've got a great idea and you can get the bones of what you're writing, it can be developed. We've got an editor on the team, we've got a proofreader on the team, it can be developed. And I do work a little bit deeper with some of these people who are really struggling to, get all of their thoughts down on paper.
Okay. So leads me into another kind of next question about the process. So how do you help someone go from the idea to actually getting the book published, and like the process of going through all of the creation of it?
Well, here's one I prepared earlier. This is Your Book is the Hook, which is my third book, which takes people through the whole process. And I pretty much, and again, when it comes to the process of writing a book, that's pretty much most things I talk about when I'm with my clients. But when I'm with my clients, it's obviously very bespoke. So taking people from an idea, really, when I work one-to-one with clients, we start with a day with me, where we map out the entire book. So we get clear on, who is it for? What are people going to get from it? What's going to be included? What's going to be left out? We do a whole post-it note exercise or mind mapping exercise, depending on the client. And we map out everything that's in the book. So they go away with a plan. So they know that chapter 1 is this heading, and it might change, and it's got this content. Chapter 2 includes this. So when it actually comes to writing the book, it's so much easier. And then I help people on the whole journey. So, some might do a survey, do some market research. Some might just get on and write it quickly. Some have got a longer term plan and vision, and then they don't need to get it out straight away. And then I've got a team of people who do the editing, proofreading, design and publishing for those people who want it. And that's through the Libertas Books imprint. So some people just want the mentoring side of things, and they just want to, really, I suppose, be courageous to share their story, to feel confident sharing their story. And I'll say, Dawn, there's so many unexpected benefits people get from writing a book that there's not what they actually really know they want when they start, but things that come out are amazing.
Like what? I'm curious.
Things like Mary Nonde, who published with us, I did an interview with her a couple of weeks ago about her story, and she was saying how it's given her the confidence in her knowledge and expertise, because she's got an 8-step process that she teaches through her vision board workshops. I'm actually going to one of them on Sunday, because I went a few years ago, and I know that I need to sort of refresh my own vision and my own vision board. And she's got an 8-step process, but when she started, she didn't really realise she had the 8-step process. So it's given her the confidence to share her message, and also to share her story as well. She's her story, she's basically lost everything to rebuilding her life again, and she's been vulnerable enough to share her story in the book. So it's things like that. So it's the unexpected benefits, like confidence, like and also being clear on your message and clear what you actually do. And writing, I did a day with somebody actually who we're right in the process of publishing at the moment. Did a day with her around about this time last year, and she left that day, rewrote her website, because she suddenly had clarity in what she actually did through the book writing process. So it's an amazing tool.
Because clarity, of course, is everything. If you don't have that, it's very difficult to take the next steps. So what advice would you give to someone who's thinking, oh, this sounds like a good idea, I can see the reasons for it? What would you advise someone to do first, to consider?
Certainly consider what ideas you have. So, if there is more than, if you have a process you teach on a day-to-day basis, it's easy, I say it's relatively easy, because you can say, right, this is what I want to get known for, this is what I want to write about. But if you don't, it's to really start thinking about your ideas. So, if you have multiple ideas, do they fit under one particular umbrella? Because ideally a book just has one message. So one message aimed towards one particular group of people, helping them to achieve one particular thing. So that is really the most ideal thing for a book. Have a conversation with me. I'm more than happy to, talk people through how I work, but also help them to explore their ideas. It's amazing, just a sort of 45-minute call can just help people to get, the things out of their head and go, oh yeah, that's what I do. That's what I want to write about. So the first thing is getting your ideas down. And then the second thing is deciding what to actually write, what to include and what not to include, which I think can be hard for many people, because it's so easy to go off in tangents. And then just focus on, on writing it. And there's so much I could share, Dawn. I don't really know where to start or where to finish.
Well, no, there's a lot of questions that could be answered, definitely. Oh, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about publishing, actually. Yeah. Do you recommend self-publishing, or like working with a publisher, or like what's that side of it like?
Well, there are 3 main types of publishing. So there's self-publishing, which is basically doing it yourself, publishing through Amazon, CreateSpace, or KPD as it's now known. You can do partnership publishing or hybrid publishing, which is what we do, where there's a cost involved, but we support you. We take you through the whole process. Or you can go down a traditional publishing route. Now, that is the hardest way of doing it, as you can imagine, because trying to get a publishing deal is hard. Trying to find the right publisher is hard, and also having someone who's going to support you. And the problem with traditional publishing is you can lose your intellectual property. So if you wanted to create a course off the back of it, you've got, I've known people in the past that have had that type of issue. And also, it's a tough process. It takes a long time. And if you are an expert and you want to be seen as an expert in your business, doing it reasonably quickly is a good way of doing it. And that's where partnership publishing and self-publishing come into their own. Because when you've got a team of people what I will say is don't do everything yourself, because, you know, if you're an expert in your topic that you're writing about, if you suddenly start typesetting, or you suddenly try and design the cover and things like that, if you're not an expert in that area, you are going to struggle, and it's going to take a lot of time and energy to do so. So it may feel like it's saving a cost, but actually it's a false economy in my view. So I'd say whether you go down the partnership or the self-publishing route, is get a team of people who can help, who know the process, who can get you on the best possible platforms. I've had a couple of conversations with people recently who are writing books and said, yeah, I want to get onto Amazon. But actually the process we used enables people to get onto 7,000 platforms worldwide, not just Amazon. I think it's just important to have that bigger picture when you're thinking about doing it. So there's no right or wrong, really.
No, and what you're saying there just really highlights the advantage of being in partnership and collaboration with someone who actually knows the industry kind of pretty well, because who knew there were 7,000 different platforms, for example.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that until I started working with Sam, who's our publishing partner. I didn't know that either, and it was just like, wow, it opened my eyes up to, you know, because I wrote my first book back in 2009, and things have changed hugely in that 10 years, but things are changing and evolving so quickly that I think I've just written a blog about it, actually. Do you want to know everything about writing a book? Because actually, do you really want to know everything about writing a book? And most clients just want to be handheld through the process. They want me to say, right, it's time to do this, or right now we're going to do this, and then just help them with videos or just chatting them through what needs to be done when they get to that situation. They don't want to worry about all the publishing stuff when they're starting, but they want to know that someone's taken them through that process when they get there.
So, which is a really important thing to know about. So what about the step after? So you write the book, you go through the publishing process of getting it actually created into, you know, either a real physical copy or an e-copy. What happens next in terms of marketing? What would your advice on that be? Do you help with that?
Yeah, do. And my biggest advice is start marketing when you start writing it.
Right.
So don't wait until you launch it. It's like any product, you know, if you're launching, say, an online program, you would, you know, or ideally I would suggest that people do their market research right from the very beginning before they create the program. And it's the same with the book, actually. So it's finding out, what do people want to hear about from you, and just drip feeding. You know, I've had clients who have done competitions on book titles. You know, especially if they're really struggling to nail that book title. I've had Steve, the guy I mentioned earlier, with his autobiography. He wrote a blog as he went through the book writing journey, so he shared it. Social media, when you've got the cover of your book, is a great way of starting to, you know, get sales for the book. When you get the test copy, which all clients get when they publish with us, it's great to do that unveiling of the, you know, the book arrives in the post, and do a Facebook Live unveiling of the book. So marketing happens throughout, and there's kind of book marketing made simple, that's mine. Book. It's also about making it simple. So they're kind of, what I've done in book marketing made simple is I've broken it down to 3 areas: pre-launch, launch, post-launch, because there are things you need to do at every step of the journey. So launching it on Amazon, launching it with a book party, and then keeping that momentum going, all key parts of the process. But you don't have to do everything. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to marketing. There are 100 million things you can do. It feels like you don't have to do all of them.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the sort of the places where you want to get recognition, obviously Amazon is one of those platforms where everyone thinks of, you know, wanting to become an Amazon bestseller.
Yeah.
What else would you say for people to think about as well alongside Amazon, because Amazon otherwise takes over the world?
Yeah, it's having a good plan for the book. So my most successful author, our most successful authors have got clients off the back of their book. So Emma Heptestall, How to Be a Lady Who Leads, she got in PR worldwide when she published through working with one of our partners. She became a bestseller on Amazon. So it was more than just that. And we did a case study with her recently. A colleague of mine interviewed her, and she pinged me back an email in reply to me just checking it was okay, and she said, I'm still getting clients now off the back of that PR, and that was 2 years ago she launched her book. I had a call with a client recently who published early this year, who got a contract off the back of her book. Another client who I interviewed last week, Kate Barrett, she got sponsorship for her book, so she recouped her investment before she even published, and she's sold about 950, just under 1,000 copies of her book already, but mainly through bulk orders. So she's in a very niche area, and so people in corporations are buying 50, 100 copies of her book at once, giving it to their relevant staff who need the book. So thinking beyond the individual book sales, I think that would be my biggest insight is don't just think about selling a book that's $14.99.
Yes.
So the book itself needs to lead on to something else. So the book itself has to have a call to action, and then you need to have that. You've got to have a marketing plan for it, like you would any other product.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to consider, but it can be simpler than people imagine, which is why I know we're kind of keen to show that it can actually be an easier process.
Yeah.
And on average, what would you say would be, I know it's kind of like a piece of string, kind of like how long is a piece of string question, but on average, how long would you say the average book takes, if there is such a thing, an average book?
Oh, I always say that if you can dedicate half a day a week to writing your book, you can get the first draft within 6 months. If you've got more time to write, you can do it quicker. So I'm working with a client at the moment. She started in January with me, and we're looking at doing first draft, I think it is this week. So that's just over 3 months to get to first draft. So she's had a little bit more time than most to write it.
Yes.
Most people I tend to work with are around about a year. I say some do it slightly quicker, and it really depends on your deadline. Some people aren't in so much of a rush, and some people, I was working with a lady called Claire Brumby last year, and she had a deadline. She was speaking at an event, exhibiting at an event. She had to have her book for that date, so we pulled out all the stops to make it happen. So I say typically, it could be anything from I've written 2 books in 6 months. Not 2 books together in 6 months, but individually. And it took me about 2.5, 3 years to write my own memoir. So, it really depends on the book and the person and how important it is. That was a passion project rather than a kind of like, I need to get it done. It's really important to do it straight away.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on the reason. So what else would you say that is important to consider in writing a book that we haven't touched on yet?
Gosh, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, don't make it too complicated. Don't try and create something, use blog posts you've got already, turn your content into blog posts, and just try and keep things as simple as possible. And I think the problem I find more than anything else is people see, as I said earlier, they see the business here, the books over here. Actually, when everything's integrated, it makes it so much easier. Don't try and do everything yourself as well. So I've worked with business mentors throughout my business, and I know you would definitely sort of recommend people do that. But work with a book mentor, work with someone who can coach you through the process. All the time I come across people who I work with a client at the moment, and she sent me an email over the weekend saying, I'm really, she's just struggling with the thought of getting her book out there at the moment. I wouldn't say she's going through a crisis of confidence, that's a bit too strong, but she's, a lot of people, when they press that send button to send their book out to their peer reviewers for the first time, when they are sharing it on when they launch their book, it can be quite a scary thing to do. So it's just remembering that other people feel that way. But when you've got support every step of the way, it just makes it so much easier. So you can go to someone like me and go, actually, it's okay. Other people feel like this. I feel like this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It brings up, whether it's a book or a presentation or a talk, whatever, it's going to take you to your edges, and you've got to go beyond those edges to really create the results. So it's natural that would happen.
It's about being courageous. It's about being really writing your best book. I think it would be the biggest thing. Don't just write any old book. Write your best book, even if there's more than one best book. If you're pouring your heart, your soul, your time, your energy, your money, your everything into the book, make sure it's the best it can be, and then make sure it looks as professional as possible as well. So I said I work with a great team who did the editing, proofreading, because if you don't, it can damage your brand. So it's just one more thing to add, that you don't want to damage your brand by writing a book thinking, hey, it's a great thing to do, taking some shortcuts along the way, but actually it's your best book, even though it might be more of an investment. If you got a £5,000, £10,000 contract off the back of it, or you got 5 clients, 10 clients off the back of it, and you make that bigger difference, it's definitely worth it, in my view, to actually really, really focus on making it the best it can be.
Yes, absolutely, great advice. So how do people find out about you if they would like to know more about how to explore, if they're interested in writing a book for their business?
Yeah, the best place to start would be go to Librotas.com, which is LIBROTAS.com. or if you search for Karen Williams Book Mentor, because I know Libertas is not an easy thing to remember, you'll find me on Google. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and all the rest of it. I've got a Get Started workbook on the website, which is libertas.com/21 questions. And that's the 21 questions that we recommend everybody ask themselves before they start to write a book. So that is a good place to get started, because it just takes you through the process of, you know, all the things that we work on with clients before they actually put pen to paper.
Yes, very sound advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
You go and download it, and then you'll get onto my mailing list, and yeah, always sharing, you know, hints and tips and things like that. And yeah, happy to chat with anyone who's interested on taking this further. So we've got a group program. We run a beautiful writing retreat, as you know, in the beautiful Andalusian mountains in Spain every September, and obviously I work one-to-one with clients as well. So yeah, if you're interested in finding out more, just drop me an email, karen@libertas.com, and happy to have a chat with you.
Brilliant. Very interesting, Karen. Thank you. I'm sure there'll be lots of people who are thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to explore this and see what's involved, because for all the reasons you've outlined, it could be, you know, a great way to pave, you know, the way for more engagement, more impact, a way to help more people. So thank you for that. We'll obviously have your link and things with the video. So thank you for explaining that. I think it's one of those areas that you kind of don't go into because you might think it's complicated, but thank you for showing that actually it doesn't have to be complicated. It can actually be quite easy.
Definitely.
And be supported all the way through to create the book that you want to create to make a difference.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be complicated, and I think that's what puts a lot of people off doing it. It feels like a really big project, but actually when it's managed well, it can be something that rolls quite nicely alongside your business. If you've got loads of content already, it all brings in just a neat little package.
Yes, sounds good. Brilliant, Karen. Thank you so much for that. I look forward to working a little bit more closely on, you know, these kind of topics and more in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Karen. Bye for now.
Bye.